Let's get in Mayuresh Joshi to speak about all of this and more. Mayuresh, good morning. Thanks so much for joining in. You know, we love throwing bouncers, Mayuresh. You wouldn't have expected this question from me, the first question of 2016. Happy New Year to you and your team, firstly. But, you know, just the effect that project clearances or awarding of projects has on certain companies. Now, we are talking about Jacop and Reliance Industrial Infra because of the Trans Harbour Link, or IRB Infra because of the 10,000 crore order that they have gotten. And then there are a spate of other companies which have gotten government orders in the last, 3 or 6 odd months as well. What are your thoughts on these two in particular? The Jacops and the Reliance Industrial Infras, if you have a view there, or IRB Infra, where I'm sure you have a view.
Morning, Neeraj. First of all, I think a very happy New Year to you, Ayesha, the entire team at ET Now. So clearly, I think if I just go on a greater perspective of how the order wins are probably coming through. Yes, I think looking at how the capex activity of the government is coming through, you will see order wins come through, not just on the roads part, where the government is very keen of awarding orders, but even on the power transmission side over the next few months. So clearly, IRB Infra, with the strong order book that it has, the biggest order that is probably won right now, is a key positive for the company. The management earlier had indicated that their equity IRRs that they're probably looking at would be maintained. So clearly, I think the management is focused in terms of how to take the profitability forward, taking orders which are margin accretive and again EPS accretive. So it becomes a clear hold on stocks like IRB Infra, where there is going to be huge potential in terms of ordering going through. But even the EPC players, as a theme is which we are probably liking. So I think the EPC guys will also benefit in a big manner going forward. When it comes to the other theme in terms of potential order wins probably coming through, so I think Jacor, Reliance Industrial Infra, as you're rightly mentioning, I think there's no probably clarity in terms of what land bank they probably hold, what kind of value addition, if these orders do come through in the end, will these companies make, what kind of cash flows will it have an impact on, when these orders will come through, when the execution will happen. So there are a lot of ifs and buts, Neeraj, associated with the whole thing. Order wins is fine, but again, I think for these orders to translate into cash flows really takes time. So I think one really needs to understand how the numbers have panned out and how the numbers will pan out for a lot of these companies, at least over the next 3 to 4 quarters. So I'm being extremely selective when it probably comes to infrastructure, stroke construction, stroke growth plays.
Right. Well, some impressive monthly sales data in terms of the auto numbers that trickled in Friday's session. So Ashok Leyland, that was definitely the big bumper. A good 31% surge on a year-on-year basis is what the December data has given. You've got M&M, which has just been chugging along with a 4% acceleration. And Tata Motors, the diesel vehicle sales have gone down by about 4%. So that's been a bit of a disappointment. And of course, Maruti has zoomed along. Mayuresh, how would you now segregate in the entire auto pack purely on the basis of the monthly sales trends that one is seeing?
Morning, Aisha. I think going by the sales trend and going a little bit beyond that, my take is that you are seeing cyclical recovery probably happening more on the MHCV part. The passenger segment also has seen some amount of rebound, and again I think there have been a spate of launches across car manufacturers. Having said that, probably I think Maruti is something that we'll still continue to maintain our hold on. The premiumization for Maruti does continue. I think the product mix that they've got, the new launches that they've done, Baleno has been extremely well received by the markets. And again, I think going by the data that has probably come through for the month gone by, we're probably seeing that the trend should probably continue for strong players like Maruti. Got a decent market share where they've got variance across price points. So I think Maruti is something that will remain a hold from our side. Ashok Leyland, I think as you were mentioning earlier in the show, I think our own take is that LCV has probably not contributed to Ashok Leyland at all over the past few months and quarters. Once LCV probably starts contributing over the next few quarters and the last mile connectivity, as we all call it, starts improving over the country, our take is that Ashok Leyland should do meaningfully well. Market share of more than 29-30% with strong presence across both the passenger vehicle MHCV side and also the truck variant part. I think our take is that Ashok Leyland's volume should see a significant growth over the next few quarters. What probably happens out of Pantnagar, the excise-free and duty-free plant, I think that should also aid volumes, as I said, with the LCV recovery. So Ashok Leyland is something that we'll still continue to prefer among the large cap stocks. And probably within the auto ancillary pack, I think we'll like to few select tire names. I think TVS Sri Chakra is something that we're really very enthusiastic about. Our own take is that volume growth should be very reasonable for the company going forward. Margins should be maintained with commodity prices going down. And MM Forgings from the auto pack is also something that we'll probably like, with sales growth expected to be in excess of 10-12%, capacity expansion happening at the right time. Right. And that should probably aid their earnings growth going forward as well.
Okay, let's also discuss some trading ideas then. It's 8:45. Mitesh, what's on your list?
Yeah. I have a buy on Concor, a new entrant in the F&O segment. It had a very strong price and volume action, a bullish Japanese candlestick pattern. That's a buy with a stop at 1350 for targets of 1490. And the sugar pack was back in action, so I picked up a Renuka, which is broken on the upside from consolidation. That's a buy with a stop at 13, and this is more of a slightly positional call. And look at targets of around 16 over here.
Sandeep, what about your pending ideas? DLF and Syndicate Bank align on each. Why are you bullish on them?
Because DLF has broken out of a strong resistance at 118, 119, and I think the move towards 135, 138 is very likely. That may not happen today, but over the next couple of days, I think very much possible. So I will buy a DLF with a stop loss of 117, target of 135. Syndicate Bank, again, is a case of a bounce back. The banking stocks did well on Friday, and I think the move should continue in the next couple of trading sessions. So I would again buy a Syndicate Bank with a stop loss of 88, target of 97.
CK, what's the positional trend or trade rather that you would recommend?
Well, I'm looking at NHPC as a positional play. NHPC has moved up along with all other power sector stocks. It does seem that the market has suddenly woken up to take interest in most of the power sector names. They're all up and about, and NHPC has been no different. It has moved up with fairly decent momentum surge and is now about to challenge the resistances which are slightly overhead. It's a stock I've picked because the price level is low enough for most people to even do this on a delivery basis, because on futures the contract sizes will be pretty hefty and not everyone's cup of tea, but those who want to do it on futures can also do it. So I would suggest buy at the current level of about 21.5 and keeping a stop at about 18.5 or so, and look for a target across, let's say, a week or two at about 27 to 30 rupees.
Okay, let's also take a check on how the currency markets are likely to move, and Manisha joins in as always. Manisha, hi, good morning, Happy New Year. Would it be a happy year for the currency too?
Well, you would have imagined that too. Happy New Year to you as well, Aisha. But the global cues that seem to be coming in right now, especially from China, do indicate to a weaker start for the currencies and the commodity as a space as well. For the Indian markets, though, you would watch out for the FBI limit tranche, which would be put, the fresh and the pending both would come in existence yet again today. The rupee, in the meanwhile, India Rating expects is likely to gain up. They are expecting a range between 65.80 to 66.30 for the near term. For the government bonds as well, the 10-year benchmark may trade within the 7.69 to 7.79% of a range for this week. But still a bit more on the FPIs, and markets are awaiting the 73 billion rupees of auction of that coming into existence. Remember, there is category of long-term as well as state bonds that would come into the markets today. The states are set to borrow 24% higher this quarter, and that could really lead to a bit of a concern out there. The global data, as we were talking about, the Chinese monthly PMI numbers have declined for a fifth straight month, and that hasn't augured well for the international currencies. You have the Chinese yuan, which is trading at a 5-year lows, and that could lead to some pressure coming in for the currency as well on the opening trades itself. What the markets also are awaiting, the FOMC minutes, also the payroll data coming in on Wednesday. You also have the US December employment report coming in on Friday, and there is more data coming in from China on the second half of this week. So we are starting the year on a heavy data event day week there. A quick word on the global cues then, and you also have seen the slump in energy prices, and that is supported to support the markets there. The Fed is likely to move ahead with rate normalization at slow pace, is what the markets are taking as a bit of a positive as we get into 2016.
Right, Manisha, thanks a lot for that. Since we are discussing that big fat order which IRB has got of 10,000 crores, this is a historical order. Single largest order in the country which has been awarded by the Ministry of Road and Transport. But just to fill it up with some more orders which have come out recently, a couple of days ago, Sri Hastikala Pipes got a 900 crore order from for Telangana drinking pipe project. Kalpataru Power got a 1400 crore order from Tamil Nadu Power Corporation for turnkey transmission line. NBCC has bagged a 3000 crore contract from AIMS to build the second phase of their existing trauma center. So the real focus currently from a market standpoint, from an economy standpoint, is that government spending is going higher, and if government spending goes higher, obviously some companies which will be the providers of the nuts and the bolts in the construction activity, in the road building activity, they would gain immensely. Mayuresh, within the 3 or 4 large groups which are well identified and well talked about, defense, railways, road, which theme do you like? And what are your top 3 stocks from this entire government spending drive?
So clearly, as I mentioned, Nikunj, I think we'll be extremely stock specific when it comes to these themes. Specifically when it comes to defense, Bharat Electronics is something that we continue to prefer. The kind of spending that the government is expected to do over the next few years on defense equipment, I think Bharat Electronics will be a key beneficiary. Cash-rich balance sheet, you've probably got a decent order book. You're probably expecting the order book to reach 40,000 odd crores over the next 2 years. And again, I think the margin of these orders is quite significant as well. So Bharat Electronics is something that we'll prefer from the defense space. From the construction stroke infra space, as I mentioned earlier, I think IRB Infra becomes a clear hold because over the past few quarters, the company has exhibited its tendency to post strong equity IRRs, and that is what the company's focus will remain going forward. But NBCC is something that I'll remain extremely optimistic about. We are expecting the order book to actually double. And again, I think cash-rich balance sheet, you've probably got a good execution record when it comes to NBCC. I think the kind of model that it basically operates out of, a very asset-light model, and that probably helps in turnover ratios improving. So NBCC is something that we genuinely like. And again, from a 3-year perspective, I think a few of these railway stocks is something that I'll continue to prefer. I think something like Titagarh Wagons on declines, where the utilization levels have been extremely low. Our own take is with improved offtake in terms of ordering, both from the railways as well as improved utilization levels with capacities going up. And again, I think the wagon demand going up, you'll probably see improvement in return ratios for a company like Titagarh Wagons. So Titagarh Wagons on declines is something that I'll prefer. But again, I think it has to be a longish view. Again, I think a couple of quarters, 3 quarters, the company might disappoint in terms of how the execution might pan out.
In fact, stay tuned. At 10:15, we're going to be chatting with the IRB Infrastructure Management and get in more details of the sizable order that they have won. 10:15 a.m. only on ET Now. Joining us would be Sudhir Hoshing from IRB Infrastructure to talk about the Zojila Tunnel order that they won, and a sizable one at that, to the tune of about 10,000 crore rupees in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. So we are going to be chatting with the management then. The Singapore Nifty, it's come off, or rather, it's recovered somewhat from the lows of the day. Remember, to start off trade, post the Chinese PMI data, while Shanghai cracked by about 4%, you had the SGX Nifty as well cracked by about 1%, but it's recovered since then. So back at those 7,900 levels after a close at 7,963 on the Nifty spot in Friday's session. Would be interesting to see how our markets actually start off trade. At least going by the Singapore Nifty, it looks like it may not be such a huge or a sharp correction, and now some more recovery as well is being witnessed, down just by about 30 odd points at 79.18 for the Singapore Nifty right now.
Oh yes, indeed. And we've already discussed all the top stocks in news as well with our experts. Mayuresh, just one quick word. If you haven't spoken about it already, on aviation, would you be taking money off in case of Indigo, or are you still long?
No, clearly I think it still remains a hold, Neeraj. I think looking at how the airline has been placed compared to its peers, clearly I think profitable. Second, I think the operating costs are extremely low. You look at the age of their fleet, it's around 3.2, 3.4 years compared to Spice and Jet Airways, whose fleet age is much higher. Again, I think the kind of operating expense, or the lower operating expense that it probably carries on in operations, sale and leaseback operations, I think it clearly augurs well for a stock like Indigo. Add to that, I think the ATF prices have been extremely low, expected to stay low, I think. So it should benefit the aviation industry as a whole. But I think Indigo, I think, should have greater amount of synergies coming through with the kind of cost optimization it has got, the load factors that it probably carries, and again I think the market share it has got. So I think the premiumization with the stock should continue. Valuations it might be a little bit stretched, but investors holding on to the stock should continue to hold on to it.
Okay, Bajaj Auto sales for the month, which is December 2015, they are absolutely flat. Look at the breakup, exports versus domestic. For Bajaj Auto, nearly 35-40% of the total revenue still comes in, there you go. Exports is also down, so they are suffering on both the aspects now. The only saving grace for Bajaj Auto would be that they've lost so much of domestic market share already that if little bit of vibrancy could really help them regain some lost glory. So December sales are absolutely flat. They are not going anywhere. We got the Hero Motocorp dispatch numbers also last week, and they were also not very, very encouraging. So as of now, it is evident that the bias is tilted towards four-wheelers. Within four-wheelers, it is Maruti. And for two-wheelers, it's the same old story, which is rural economies under pressure and buyers are absent.
Well, do watch out. TVS Motors too, I think the sales numbers were very, very flattish. I think Ashok Leyland probably has reason to cheer. Almost all the others have been kind of flattish in trade, at least the ones that have come and the large ones that I have seen. Even the small ones actually, the SMEs, Isuzus of the world, nothing to write home about. But this morning is all about what the Asian markets do because of China. So the markets at large will be down. Let's summarize at the start of the pre-open. The Asian markets are down and therefore we will probably open, or we will open soft. The key is what do we do post that and what do individual stocks do. The biggest among them being IRB. It's a large order win. Let's see what's the kind of reaction immediate and then post that on the stock, post the management commentary at 10:15. So that would be the interesting one. This is the biggest stock in news today. Then of course the few OMC stocks marginally in focus because of the news flow at there and excise duty, so on and so forth. Let's see if Ashok Leyland has a bit of a reaction because of its numbers. And let's see if indeed Coal India reacts marginally at that. TCS, I don't think it'll too much of a reaction. Let's see what happens to TCS if and when this order or this win does materialize for them. But the pre-open rates come in, expect a fair bit of red on the benchmark indices. The Nifty starting off, interestingly, 0.5% lower. Pretty much what could be expected as well. We could probably have about 0.25% or 0.5% kind of a downtick on the benchmark indices. No, I don't think Lupin will have a 9% downtick. Don't look at that. Let's look at IRB and see if indeed in the first 30 seconds we had a tick there, 9.5%. I don't know if this will last or not, but this is the biggest order that an Indian BOT company has won. So I wouldn't be surprised if the tick is a large green. How large, we don't know. But the pre-open rates, the first 30 seconds are indicating a fair bit of green. And then just watch out for the usual suspects today. I mean, let's see what the high flyers of Friday's session have to do. So one eye will be out on the Reliance Capital, Reliance Infras and the Jet Airways of the world. All of them had a really good trading session in Friday. Let's see if there's a bit of an uptick. Though the delivery volumes weren't there, but you never know with these stocks. They're in a frenzy of their own right now.
Yeah, indeed. And that's the Nifty in trade for you. Not bad, really, given the kind of deep gashes that you're seeing across the Asian screen. 79.35, considering 7,800 is the key support zone, we're doing perfectly fine. In any case, this entire week is going to be all about the global cues, and post that, it's going to be earnings season, which is going to, shift the stance from global to then domestic cues in itself. But for now, that's the currency, 66.28, and the rupee as well, the Nifty that is, has started off just about marginally lower, so we're doing pretty okay. IRB infrastructure is the top one to look out for, Coal India as well, wherein the production numbers have beaten the street estimates, so they have come in a bit higher, so that's looking good. You've also got SBI, which may not be cutting lending rates this quarter, look out for that as well. TCS, which is set to be in race to acquire Pero from Dell, so look out for that. Ashok Leyland, wherein the December sales were pretty smart, an uptick of about 31% year on year, so look out for that one as well. And yeah, Kotak Mahindra as well, which has acquired a 10% stake in an advisory firm, IIAS, a meager sum, but nonetheless a positive news flow. Kotak Bank starts off just about marginally in the day. Disappointing monthly sales from Tata Motors, and M&M continues to chug along. They're now working on biodiesel as well as hydrogen fuel vehicles, so clearly a shift of stance coming in there from M&M's side.
Yeah. M&M, well, they're trying to reorient themselves, but for the moment it's going to be a struggle in a long haul for M&M. Mayuresh, does it make sense to be a contra buyer in Mahindra & Mahindra? Whatever could, frankly go wrong has gone wrong for Mahindra & Mahindra. Tractor sales are under pressure. They've lost leadership and market share in the SUV market. And now a daily ban on new diesel car registrations is again a big problem for that company.
Again, Nikunj, I think the kind of sales that we've probably seen both on the farm equipment side for M&M and even on the UV side, I think the numbers are disappointing, and in my opinion, clearly, I think it will take some time for the numbers to start showing resilience. In that sense itself, I think the underperformance of that stock will continue for some length of time. You might probably add up the Delhi ban, which might add to the woes of the company and the earnings from an FY16 perspective. However, I think my own take is that the underperformance of the stock would continue over the next 2 quarters, to say the least. Valuations is the only supportive factor for M&M at lower levels. But clearly, I think if I have to look at the auto pack, I'll probably look at other stocks because I think the return on investments in stocks like Maruti and Ashok Leyland will be much greater than something like something invested in M&M at this point of time.
Okay, let's also look out for the 3 stocks that the dealing rooms are talking about this Monday morning. Ajay joins in with all the details. Ajay, what's the buzz in dealing rooms?
Good morning, Aisha. Aisha, the way the first day of FNO series in the Jan series, SpiceJet was the new inclusion which actually flew. Now it's the turn of Container Corp. That's what the dealing room guys are saying, that that one could start flying. A lot of interest is there on the FNO side. On the downside, watch out for HPCL. In fact, there's a second consecutive excise duty hike which came in over the weekend, and HPCL is something which is already ticking lower. Dealers expect some profit taking to come in. And the last one is Jaikumar Infra. On the positive side, the way we have seen road construction companies start to get big orders, and big example is IRB today. We understand urban infra orders could also be following in the next couple of weeks. Jaikumar, we understand, is the L1 bidder for one large contract in one of the big metros. The buzz on the street is that the announcement can come shortly. Watch out for Jaikumar Infra as well.
Already here.
Well, thanks a lot for that. We'll try and figure out a lot of these projects and what's the kind of order win that could come in for some of these companies as well. If indeed the Trans-Harbour Link, for example, goes out, and some of those would be decided any which ways, but we'll try and get you a sense of that as well. But by the way, it's Monday, and time to get you a sense of where the smart money is moving in trade. Yatin joins in with a quick analysis there. Yatin, good morning yet again.
Good morning, Neeraj. If you look at smart money, clearly as of now, the kind of FI selling that we are looking at in the start of the new year, that is something worrisome. Most fund managers of the view are that once oil prices firm up, there could be a case for equity markets to rally, but before that, there could be some selling which could come in from the Gulf-based funds because of the fiscal condition back home. They are looking to sell equities, and once the oil price bounce back, there could be a chance that the selling could slow down. Of course, cement stocks are something wherein most of the brokerages and the fund managers are slightly cautious. For cement companies, we have seen a prolonged period of underperformance, and the fund manager are expecting that cement stocks could underperform going forward as well. So on the pricing front, on the demand front, things are looking jittery for cement stocks. Ambit also came out with a report, by the way, on cement, which indicated weak trends across India. And road developers, as Ajay was also pointing out, there is some interest there, apart from realty companies on a selective base. 2 stocks to watch out for. Skipper Limited. Last week we saw almost 10 lakh shares have been traded on the stock exchanges in bulk deals, and domestic funds have a large interest in this company. Good return ratios, Kolkata-based construction company. If you look at Skipper, Centrum has a target price of 230 on this one, indicating almost a 35-40% kind of upside from current levels. And cords and cables also, that stock has run up in the last 5 trading sessions, but still, most of the HNIs believe that there is a case for 15 to 20% upside from here on as well.
Right, Yatin, thanks a lot for that. And I think there's so much of churn and there is so much of stock identification which has happened in last 3-4 months that it's quite extraordinary. I mean, stocks which we've never discussed at length a year ago, 2 years ago, they are now really the high flyers. Skipper Limited, look at the strength that stock has exhibited. Cards India, there are a lot of stocks which frankly were under the radar. And a lot of these under the radar stocks right now are really inching up. One group which has been under the radar for a couple of years has been the entire Anil Ambani group. because of debt concerns, because of business issues, cyclical issues, the group companies were under intense pressure. But there are three group companies which have done very well. Number one is RCom, then is Reliance Capital, and third is Reliance Infra. Each one has a news trigger, each one has a specific trigger. I'm not getting into trigger, but CK, if someone has to, let's say, create a positional trade here in the ADA group, would you recommend a buy, or it's too late to do that now?
Well, it may be a little late from a risk perspective to do that in a Reliance Capital or a Reliance Infra. But I think RCom is, actually moved a little ahead and then had undergone a bit of a consolidation. And at 88 rupees, it was just beginning to come out of this consolidation. Now, whether the market trend has run out on RCom or not, that's a different question. But I think if I have to pick one out of the four that are there in the future space, then I would definitely look at RCom. Reliance Power, you are playing Reliance Power anyway through Reliance Infra because much of it is owned there. So I think Reliance Power is also just responding to the other power stocks which have gone up a bit in the last week. So if at all anything is to be bought even at the current price, then I would say my pick would be RCom.
Yeah, that was also the chart of the day, the other day from CK Narayan. So that's the interesting one. By the way, just looking at what the Bajaj Autos of the world are doing, not a whole lot. Marginal downsides for that. Hero MotoCorp to follow suit. Actually, TVS had a 5% uptick. The other two two-wheeler majors didn't have a great day. But IRB Infra is certainly the stock of the moment. 10% higher at 269. And, Mayuresh, just come in. I know we are revisiting this, but because the stock is up 10%, it demands attention. Does this enthuse you to go out and make a fresh look at IRB Infra because of the size of the project that they've gotten and possibly road construction companies at large? My question is, at 216 and 270, is IRB pricing in all the gains, or would you be enthused to buy it even now?
No, clearly, Neeraj, I think the order book size that they've probably got is pretty large, and if you consider their overall order book size, it's almost equivalent to that size in terms of how the execution will pan out. So again, I think it gives good revenue visibility to a company like IRB Infra. And again, I think as I mentioned earlier as well, I think the equity IRRs from these projects should be quite significant. And once these projects start getting delivered over the next few years, I think the cash flows can be equally impressive with the execution of other projects happening at a very fast pace as well. So clearly, I think IRB is a clear hold. Whether I'll go out and buy it today, probably I'll wait for declines, because I think the kind of exuberance that you've probably seen in the stock today warrants a little bit of correction. But clearly, over the next 2 to 3 years, a lot of these road developers, asset owners will start benefiting. But again, I think the only caveat here, Neeraj, is how the execution pans out. So clearly being very, very selective here. And as I said, I think selective road developers and selective EPC guys is something that we're probably liking over the next 2 to 3 years. I'll be included in that.
Okay, Mayuresh, just before we let you go, just wrap up your ideas. You have 2 or 3 stocks, just enough time to take those on board. Why do you like the stocks that you do? I believe Radico is probably one of them.
So clearly, I think there'll be no price hikes, Neeraj, specifically when it comes to a stock like Radico and the IMFL industry as a whole. So we're expecting significant price hikes to happen over the next few quarters. It trades at a significant discount to United Spirits. And again, I think United Spirits, in our opinion, will focus more on profitability than on volume growth, which clearly benefits a stock like Radico Khaitan. So clearly, I think valuations attractive, debt levels coming down with improvement in margins. You're probably going to see EPS improve from 5 rupees to 7.1 rupees over the next 2 years. Valuations, again, not too expensive at this point of time. So Radico is a clear buy at the current juncture with a target of 156. What I probably like even at the current juncture is a stock like Surya Roshni. Our own take is that lighting division for Surya Roshni should start contributing significantly. Within lighting, LED should start contributing significantly. And our own take is that with a 6.5% top line growth, the bottom line growth should be stupendous, with debt levels getting repaid, cash flows being extremely strong from the lighting division, and that should probably start aiding margins and bottom line growth of 21%. The third stock that we are probably liking at this point, again, is something like Ipca Labs. And again, I think repetitive on this one, but again, the kind of news flow surrounding the bans on their plants, I think, have played out on the balance sheets. Our own take is with institution supplies improving and HCQ supplies improving second half of this fiscal and the first half of the next fiscal. Again, I think the top line growth should be quite significant. That should reflect very, very positively on bottom line. We're expecting a bottom line of 350 odd crores 5,517. Valuation is extremely attractive. So something like Ipca Labs on declines also looks attractive with a target of 900 rupees over the next 12 months.
Right, Mayuresh, so good chatting with you, and thanks much for giving us your top investment ideas as well.
Thank you so much.
Okay, that's the view then from Mayuresh Joshi, fund manager at Angel Broking. But it's that time in the show when we get you some top ideas for trade this Monday morning. Mitesh, let's start off with you. Your top stock for the day.
That could be Renuka Sugars.